Hello students, I am Dr. Amit Bhatnagar, working as Senior Research Officer in the Department of Agronomy at GB Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, Pantnagar, Uttarakhand. So in the continuation of watershed management, in this lecture I will tell you about the types of watershed. So first of all, watch the lecture. What is watershed? What is the concept of watershed? So watershed is a land area which contribute runoff to a common drainage point or outlet. So the land area which contribute runoff, that area is called watershed, and watershed is defined with respect to drainage point. तो जिस एरिया से पानी बह रहा है और जिस कॉमन आउटलेट से बाहर निकल रहा है, जहां जहां से वो पानी आता है, दैट एरिया, उसको हम बोलते हैं watershed. So that's why watershed is an area. So it is a geo-hydrological unit. So it is geo means earth and hydrological means related to water. So it means the area which contribute the water means runoff to a common drainage point. So that's why there are small watershed, large watershed, sub watershed, and there are different type of watershed. So there may be a number of classification, mode of classification, a number of basis for classification of watershed. If we classify the watershed, there should be certain objective. What is the objective behind the classification? It should be clear. If our objective is clear, then we can classify on the many bases. So in general, watersheds, if we talk about types of watershed, so this classification may be based on the area. What is the area or size of the watershed? Because if area is large, size is large, there will be more heterogeneity, more amount of precipitation, more vegetation, more area under road and buildings or vegetation, etc., and it will generate more runoff. Suppose area is small and this is the large area. So here if there is a rainfall, so it will produce both produce the runoff, but in case of a small watershed, amount of runoff is less, while in large watershed amount of runoff is large. That's why it is very difficult to handle such type of watershed, large watershed. Then suppose it is 200 square kilometer or 500 square kilometer. So heterogeneity is there. Road, building, vegetation, cover, heterogeneity in soil type, slope, relief. So that's why management is difficult. While in case of small watershed, maybe 1 square kilometer or a few hectares, then there is a homogeneity and we can manage the watershed. So on the basis of area or size, the watershed may be small, maybe medium, or maybe large. So it is in general classification, and in case of small watershed, the area is less than 250 square kilometer, and in 1 square kilometer is equal to 100 hectare. So you can convert this square kilometer into hectare. And in case of medium, the range or the size is 250 to 2500 square kilometer. Similarly, in case of large, the area is more than 2500 square kilometer. So this is in general classification of watershed on the basis of area. So now what is the idea behind the classification on the basis of area? क्यों हम एरिया के बेसिस पे कर रहे हैं क्लासिफिकेशन? उसका रीजन ये है कि एरिया से हमें पता चल जाता है कि वहां जब बारिश होगी, रेनफॉल होगा, तो रन ऑफ से कितना पानी आएगा, कितना फ्लड आएगा. तो अगर लार्ज वाटरशेड है तो लार्ज फ्लड आएगा, लार्ज वाटर आएगा, तो उसको अकॉर्डिंगली हमको उसकी तरह से मैनेज करना पड़ेगा. Large watershed is there is a heterogeneity, so different type of vegetation, different type of tree species, building, etc. तो वो उसी हिसाब से हमको मैनेज करना होगा. And small watershed can be managed easily. So this is the classification based on the area. The another classification on the basis of this area is the further classification is 5 types: macro watershed, micro sub watershed, milli watershed, micro watershed, and mini watershed. Macro watershed area is more than 50,000 hectare. And in case of mini watershed, it is 1 to 10 hectare. Now, each level of watershed is increased by 10 times. So, it is more than 50,000, it is 1 to 10 hectare. Now, this area is 10 to 100 hectare. Milli watershed, 100 to 1000 hectare. And this is 1000 to 50,000 hectare. So this is the macro watershed, sub watershed, milli watershed, micro watershed and mini watershed. So this is the classification based on the area. Actually, this is 100 hectare, 1000 hectare, 10,000 1000 to 10,000. This is 10,000 hectare. Please correct it. It is 1 to 100 hectare. इसको करेक्ट कर लीजिएगा. मैक्रो वाटरशेड, सब वाटरशेड, मिली वाटरशेड, माइक्रो वाटरशेड, मिनी वाटरशेड. इट इज 1 to 100, then 100 to 10,000, 100 to 1,000, 1,000 to 10,000, 10,000 to 50,000. So this is the classification on the basis of area. Another base of classification is land use. On the basis of land use means how the area is used for agriculture, for forestry, for crop production, or for building, or for dam. So another classification is based on land use. So how the area is used for agriculture production, for the urban development, for industry. Actually watershed is area. तो watershed एक एरिया होता है. अब उस एरिया में चाहे आप फॉरेस्ट ग्रो करें, चाहे आप इंडस्ट्री लगाएं, चाहे कोई सिटी डेवलप करें, चाहे फॉरेस्ट्री हम करें, चाहे हम क्रॉप प्रोडक्शन करें. सो वाटरशेड इज नॉट ओनली कन्फाइंड टू एग्रीकल्चर लैंड. इसको ये मत सोचिए कि वाटरशेड केवल एग्रीकल्चर लैंड से ही रिलेटेड होता है, ऐसा नहीं है. कोई भी एरिया जहां से रन ऑफ निकलता है वो वाटरशेड है. रन ऑफ कहां से निकलेगा? जहां बारिश होगी, और बारिश तो हर जगह होती है. तो एवरी पार्ट ऑफ द अर्थ वेयर प्रेसिपिटेशन अकर इज वाटरशेड. तो इस अर्थ का हर पार्ट जहां प्रेसिपिटेशन होता है, मींस हेल होते हो, स्नो होता हो, रेनफॉल होता है, वो सब वाटरशेड है. सो डोंट बी कंफ्यूज दैट वाटरशेड इज ओनली लिमिटेड टू एग्रीकल्चर लैंड. ऐसा नहीं है कि केवल एग्रीकल्चर एरिया में ही जहां एग्रीकल्चर हो रही है, क्रॉप प्रोडक्शन हो रहा है, वही वाटरशेड होता है. ऐसा नहीं है. वाटरशेड इज एरिया जियो हाइड्रोलॉजिकल यूनिट which contribute runoff to a common outlet. So this is the definition. So by definition, every part of the earth is watershed. So based on land use, maybe agricultural watershed. Agricultural watershed means the most of the area is under crop production. So actually this is occur in case of village. So crops are grown, field crops are grown, plantation crops are grown. Maybe urban watershed. Yes, urban watershed. There is a city development, industry development. Most of the area is under road, building, bridge. तो ऐसे जो अर्बन में होंगे, शहर वाले जो एरिया है, वहाँ जो लैंड यूज पैटर्न किस में है? बिल्डिंग्स बनाने में है. तो इन केस ऑफ अर्बन वाटरशेड, आफ्टर द रेनफॉल there is waterlogged condition. So drainage is the problem. While in case of agriculture, watershed, there is no drainage problem. There is proper infiltration, percolation, groundwater recharge, and groundwater table is maintained. While in case of urban watershed, what is the problem? Since buildings are there, roads are there, so there is no proper drainage system. So that's why waterlogging is there. There is no infiltration, no percolation, no groundwater recharge. So such type of watershed in urban area face many types of problems. Third may be mountainous. Mountainous means the watershed on mountain region. So hill is there, slope is there. So in mountainous watershed, most of the precipitation in the form of snow. If there is a snowfall, then what melting is there. Then that's why this such type of watershed create rivers, spring, lakes. तो जो माउंटेन वाला रीजन होता है वहाँ अधिकतर प्रेसिपिटेशन अगर स्नो पे है तो वहीं से नदियाँ निकलेंगी, झील बनेंगी, ponds रहेंगे, and there is a slope, so runoff velocity is very high and it causes the soil erosion, particularly on slopy area. So in mountainous region में क्या रहेगा? इरोजन की प्रॉब्लम रहेगी, क्योंकि जैसे ही प्रेसिपिटेशन होगा, रेनफॉल होगी, वाटर मूव करेगा और सॉइल का इरोजन होगा. नेक्स्ट इज फॉरेस्ट. Forest watershed. Forest watershed means the area is under forest. There are so many tree species, litter is there, leaves are there, organic matter is high in soil. That's why infiltration is more, percolation is more, rainfall is very good because of dominance of forest tree species. There is very good water recharge. A number of wild species are present. So this forest watershed is rich in biodiversity and very good water holding capacity of soil, rich in organic matter. Soil is fertile, soil is productive. Many plant species, many animal species, many insect species. So these watershed are rich in biodiversity. So this question may be asked कि किस watershed का क्या characteristic होता है. Another may be desert watershed. In desert, as you know, desert are dry land, totally dry land. Sand is there, very less rainfall, and they are very dry region. So less rainfall is less, and infiltration is high because soil is sandy, soil is porous, so infiltration is high. But rainfall is very less, so there is no percolation, there is no groundwater recharge, and water amount is very less. So that's why there is no vegetation. तो डेजर्ट में क्या होता है, देखिए रेनफॉल बहुत कम है. ये रेतीले एरिया को हम डेजर्ट कह रहे हैं, जैसे राजस्थान में डेजर्ट है, तो रेनफॉल कम होती है. सैंडी सॉइल है, जो रेनफॉल होती है इन्फिल्ट्रेट तो कर जाती है लेकिन नीचे परकुलेट नहीं कर पाती बिकॉज इट इज नॉट सफिशिएंट टू रीच द ग्राउंड वाटर. सो दैट्स वाई ग्राउंड वाटर इज नॉट रिचार्ज. सो वाटर अवेलेबिलिटी इज द प्रॉब्लम, ग्राउंड वाटर अवेलेबिलिटी इज प्रॉब्लम, इरीगेशन प्रॉब्लम, वेजिटेशन इज पुअर and they are easily eroded. So erodability is the main factor because of low rainfall. Then another watershed may be coastal watershed. Coastal nearby sea, for example Chennai, Mumbai, these are the coastal watershed. And the problem with the coastal watershed that there is sea water intrusion. There are tides, high waves. तो जो ये ज्वार भाटा आता है और इससे समुद्र का पानी अंदर आ जाता है, खेतों में जाता है, and this sea water contains salt, so soil become saline. So this is the problem in coastal watershed. Sea water intrusion, soil become salty. और रोड बिल्डिंग्स को भी नुकसान पहुंचता है टाइड से, इन सबसे. तो this is the problem with the coastal watershed. Then another may be a marshy या marsh watershed. Mud is there, marsh is there, and waterlogged condition is there. So there is very good rainfall, but percolation, infiltration, percolation is poor. Subsurface drainage is poor, drainage is poor, so that's why water is maintained on the soil surface. So different type of vegetation is there. तो ये कीचड़ के एरिया, दलदली एरिया जो होते हैं उसको हम मार्श एरिया कहते हैं. तो ये हालांकि कम है, लेकिन कब होता है जब रेनफॉल तो अच्छी हो लेकिन नीचे उसका इन्फिल्ट्रेशन ना हो, परकुलेशन ना हो और ड्रेनेज भी ना हो, तो पानी क्या रहेगा, सरफेस पे बना रहता है. एंड देयर में भी डिफरेंट टाइप. प्लेन वाटरशेड जो प्लेन एरिया में है, जैसे प्लेन वाटरशेड, वैली वाटरशेड विच आर लोकेटेड ऑन वैली. सो मे बी बेस्ड ऑन लैंड यूज, हाउ द लैंड इज यूज्ड, it decide the type of the watershed. So these are the main. And another is mixed type of watershed. Mixed type of watershed, actually in agriculture watershed, agriculture is dominant in urban watershed, building dominant in mountain, hill region is dominant in forest, tree species dominant in desert, sandy soil dominate, coastal sea water intrusion, marsh muddy water, mud is there, waterlogging is there, and in mixed. So there is no, there are different type of characteristics. So in mixed type of watershed, there is no dominant characteristic. Maybe one or two or three or many type of land use. So this is the mixed type of watershed. So maybe in area, maybe there may be agriculture, maybe forest, maybe urban, so maybe different type of land use. So this type of watershed is known as mixed watershed. In India, in our country, the dominant watershed is mixed type. तो मिक्स टाइप में कई तरह के लैंड यूज होते हैं. क्रॉप प्रोडक्शन भी हो रहा होगा, जैसे कि एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट है, डिस्ट्रिक्ट भी एक वाटरशेड है जहाँ से नदी बह रही है. तो उस डिस्ट्रिक्ट में कहीं सिटी हो, मतलब उस जिले में कुछ सिटी है, कुछ क्रॉप प्रोडक्शन भी हो रहा होगा, कहीं फॉरेस्ट भी डेवलप किया गया होगा. तो देयर मैनी टाइप ऑफ कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स. तो सच टाइप ऑफ वाटरशेड इज नोन एज मिक्स्ड टाइप वाटरशेड. डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ कैरेक्टरिस्टिक अकर इन इंडिया. मिक्स्ड टाइप वाटरशेड अकर. तो हमारी जो कंट्री में है जो मिक्स टाइप के वाटर शेड है. सो दिस इज द टाइप ऑफ वाटर शेड. सो बेस्ड ऑन लैंड यूज, व्हाट इज द आइडिया बिहाइंड द लैंड यूज, हाउ वी कैन यूज द प्रेसिपिटेशन, हाउ वी कैन मेक द इफेक्टिव यूज ऑफ रन ऑफ, हाउ वी कैन make the safe disposal of runoff water. सो दिस इज फॉर द ईज ऑफ मैनेजमेंट। हम अगर हमको वाटरशेड का लैंड यूज पता है तो हमको ईजिली मैनेज कर सकते हैं उसके रन ऑफ को। हमको पता चल जाएगा वाटर लॉगिंग होगी या नहीं होगी, रन ऑफ कितना आएगा, फ्लड पीक कितनी आएगी। सो दैट्स वाई लैंड यूज क्लासिफिकेशन इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर द मैनेजमेंट पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, पर्टिकुलरली रन ऑफ characteristics and flood peak and the drainage. So this is the based on land use. Third is based on drainage shape. Drainage shape. What is drainage shape? Drainage means this runoff. Actually, suppose this is the runoff start, rainfall is there, runoff start, small channels, then small channels join together, and then this make the large channel. So large channel is there, the small channels, and it make the large channel. So suppose this is the large channel, big channel, and it carry the runoff. So how what is the shape of the runoff? So if drainage shape is such that the tributaries are of equal size, कि जो इसकी ट्रिब्यूटरीज हैं, जो स्ट्रीम है, जो इक्वल साइज की हैं, देन दे कंट्रीब्यूट द रन ऑफ एट द सेम टाइम, बिकॉज लेंथ इज सेम. सपोज लेंथ इज सेम, सपोज इट इज 1 kilometer, it is also 1 kilometer, it is 1 kilometer, then during the rainfall they will contribute the water to this main channel at the same time. माना 1 किलोमीटर वाटर 1 किलोमीटर है और उसमें रेनफॉल के बाद ये 1 घंटे बाद इसमें पानी यहाँ पे आता है, तो इस पूरी चैनल में सारी की सारी ट्रिब्यूटरीज 1 घंटे बाद रन ऑफ को कंट्रीब्यूट करेंगी, एंड देयर विल बी ह्यूज वॉल्यूम ऑफ वाटर. सो सच टाइप ऑफ watershed create flood peak very early. So this watershed is called fan shaped watershed. Fan shaped. So this drainage shape decide the runoff characteristics, flood peak or the runoff time. So in fan shaped, all tributaries means जो इसको contribute कर रही हैं water को, all tributaries are of equal or same size. Okay, so size length is same, so that's why they contribute the water to this main channel at same time. So this is the fan shaped, and it is circular shape. It is of circular shape. Length, this is the length, this is the width, is almost equal, and the main characteristic that all tributaries are of equal length or equal size. Another may be that the length is more than the width. It is not circular shape, and the all tributaries are not of equal size. Suppose this is first tributary, this is main tributary. Suppose this is the main tributary. This is the main tributary in green color, okay, and this is the another tributary, small, this is very large, then this is large, this is small tributary, this is small tributary, this is small tributary. So in this case, the tributaries of an area are not of equal size. So the size is like that, shape is like that, not size, shape is like that. The length is more than width. This is the length, this is the width. So length is more than width, and tributaries are not of equal size, and this is not known as fern leaf shape. Fern leaf shape watershed. Okay, so tributaries are not of equal size. All tributaries not equal size. Okay, so during the rainfall, the smallest tributaries first contribute, and the longest contribute at the last. So that's why the runoff peak will be very late, because it will contribute. Suppose this is smaller length, it contributes suppose in 1 hour. So this is the longest tributary, it may contribute after 2 hours or 3 hours. So runoff peak, runoff volume at the outlet will not be so huge as in case of fan shape. तो जो सर्कुलर शेप के होते हैं, फैन शेप के होते हैं, उसमें इक्वल साइज की ट्रिब्यूटरीज होती हैं, तो उनकी लेंथ बराबर होती है. रेनफॉल जब होता है, रन ऑफ होता है, तो सबका जो टाइम जो होता है रन ऑफ आने का मेन चैनल में सबका बराबर हो जाता है, क्योंकि सबकी साइज इक्वल है. यहाँ फर्न शेप में क्या है, लेंथ सबकी अलग अलग है, तो इस कारण से जो रेनफॉल के बाद जो रन ऑफ होगा, यहाँ से रन ऑफ स्टार्ट होगा, ये पहुँचने में ज़्यादा टाइम लेगा, ये जल्दी टाइम लेगा, तो यहाँ पे जो आउटलेट पे वाटर आएगा वो धीरे धीरे आएगा, तो फ्लड पीक यहाँ क्या आएगी, लेट आएगी. दैट्स व्हाई वी कैन मैनेज दिस रन ऑफ वॉल्यूम. So this is the importance of drainage shape which decide the flood peak or runoff volume time at the outlet. So there are three common types based on the size, area which decide the runoff volume and the heterogeneity. Second one is land use which decide the drainage, drainage problem, infiltration, water holding capacity and groundwater recharge. And third is drainage shape, and drainage shape decide the runoff characteristics, flood peak or the runoff water time at the outlet. So these are the three common types based on size, based on land use and based on drainage shape. And there may be another criteria, another classification based on the soil. Suppose there is a black soil dominate, then we can say it is black soil watershed. If red soil dominate, we can say it is red soil watershed. Alluvial soil, we can say it is alluvial watershed. So there may be a different criteria, which characteristic, which feature dominate. On this dominance we can say this is the type of the watershed. तो जो उस एरिया का जो कैरेक्टरिस्टिक डोमिनेट करता है, हम उसको कह सकते हैं कि ये टाइप का वाटरशेड है. तो बहुत हम वाटरशेड बोल सकते हैं, सॉइल टाइप पे, रिलीफ टाइप पे, माउंटेन वाटरशेड, वैली वाटरशेड, हिली वाटरशेड, स्लोपी वाटरशेड. लेकिन जो क्लासिफिकेशन होना चाहिए उसका कोई ऑब्जेक्टिव फुलफिल होना चाहिए, उससे कुछ हमारा पर्पस सॉल्व होना चाहिए, उसकी कुछ सिग्निफिकेंस होनी चाहिए. तो ये तीन कॉमन टाइप के मैंने आपको बताया. दीज हैव वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट सिग्निफिकेंस विद रिस्पेक्ट टू रन ऑफ वॉल्यूम, रन ऑफ कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स एंड द फ्लड पीक एंड द मैनेजमेंट, ईज ऑफ मैनेजमेंट. So that's why these are three common type of watershed. So this is the type of watershed. Okay. So remember that there are three common types based on size, based on land use and based on the drainage shape. Thank you very much.